So it's so wonderful for Buy Australian Fashion to have Kim Hurwitz here to chat to. So how are you, Kim?
I'm good, thank you, Selena.
Good. Can you explain your present role in TV to us?
So at the moment, obviously my role changes because I'm a freelance stylist, and so from job to job it would vary, but at the moment I'm the wardrobe supervisor on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and my role, I started off as an assistant to the wardrobe supervisor on The X Factor and on The Bachelor, and I was assisting in helping them style all of the contestants, and essentially now I head up the team I have a team of 5 people, and I'm in charge of choosing appropriate clothing for the participants or the contestants or the talent or the host, depending on what show I'm working on, for them to wear on the show. I'm also in charge of budgeting and scheduling of my team, and liaising a lot with the executive producer of the show and every department, actually, all the head of departments I'm constantly talking to, whether it's date team to find out what sort of costumes they might need, or audio department to find out how we can hide the microphones, or so I'm constantly talking to all of those people, but I actually spend a lot of time doing budgets, receipts, scheduling, and then a small part of it's the styling part.
And what's the best part of it?
I actually really enjoyed the business part of it, the number part. When I was at school, I liked maths and I did science, and I did do art. I did a little bit of creative outlet, but my biggest regret, I think, is not studying business studies at school. I think I would have really enjoyed that, and especially taking that into the fashion industry. So I've definitely learnt that on the job. Every job I've had has had quite a large part of a business element to it. So I've learnt, but I could have studied it, and it would have helped me even in this fashion industry now. But I enjoy the the admin and all of that sort of side as well. But obviously, working with fashion is definitely a highlight. I get to, on a show like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, I get to work with really great fashion brands, mostly Australian, because obviously it's easier to work with them if they're local, and it's easier to liaise, and it's easier to get everything on board. We're working towards a quicker timeline, and so I get to work with dresses and gowns, as opposed to when I've worked on other shows, sometimes it's not as fashion based. So I love working on a show that you get to work with designers. And
do you have a favourite Australian brand?
I do. My personal favourite, what I like to wear, I love a brand, Age, or Age, I don't know how they pronounce it, AJE. It's by 2, I think they're both Sydney designers, a guy and a girl, and they've been around for ages, but I think that they're the perfect combination of cool, you can dress it up, it's quite also relaxed, it's just my personal style. I like their brand, and I also love PE Nation. I know that you and I have discussed this a little bit before. I just think what they have done with that brand is genius. I don't know many brands at all, especially in that price point, that people pay to wear their logo all over you, literally, but you can't get enough of it. It's something that is active wear, but it's leisure wear that you can wear out and in your casual clothing as well. So they've done a really great job, and I'm a huge fan of everything that comes out of there, and of Pip Edwards as well, her style inspiration. So I love both. I would wear those brands together. I'm a huge fan of a lot of Australian brands. Even when I had my clothing store Capital L, which was a multi-brand boutique, we only sold Australian brands in that store, and so many of them, my whole wardrobe was everything from the store. So that included Beck & Bridge, by Johnny. There was brands like Friend of Mine, which isn't around anymore, but there's Nicholas, which all these that were Australian made at the time, and I'm pretty sure Beck & Bridge and by Johnny, they are still Australian made and designed. But there's so many, there was lots of choice of brands to stock in our boutique, and I love that leisure wear, Camilla and Mark as well, like just for some good basics. But yeah, I'm a huge PE Nation. A plethora. Yeah, I'm not fussy. I feel like
they're a ball of force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. I'm a bit of a chameleon in my personal style, so like I can wear sometimes quite different aesthetics. So I like to mix it up, and yeah, I'm not zoned in on one brand only, but when I do go shopping, I probably look at like the brands I've just mentioned more so.
Did anything surprise you about your role?
Something that did surprise me was in the last couple of years I've got to travel like a lot, and obviously I didn't even know that this role existed. When I finished school, I did not see myself, I didn't even go straight into the fashion industry. I first went and studied interior architecture at university for a year and a half. So I always knew I wanted to do something like that involved being creative. And it was actually Yakira, who is one of my closest friends, but also she had been at FBI, and she was telling me about the college, and it interested me, and I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do, so I enrolled into FBI. And even from that, I was like, I knew I wanted to do something in the industry, but back then, it was over 11 years ago now, I don't even think TV styling and wardrobe was a subject, because it was such a niche aspect of this industry. And there were hardly any production companies here. There was hardly like any shows being made. There's probably 5 wardrobe supervisors, maybe like nationwide. So I feel like it was so niche that, yeah, I didn't even know about it. So it was surprising that it was a role in the first place. And then I kind of fell into it. I feel like I've told the story, but for anyone who doesn't know, I got this amazing opportunity from a wardrobe supervisor. His name was Sheridan Tyler. He walked into my boutique one day. He said, I'd love you to assist me on the X Factor. I love everything that's in your store. Like, we could, use a bunch of stuff from Capital L on the show. We can get a lot of promotion for the store. And it was like, obviously an opportunity that I wasn't going to pass up. So I fell into it almost, because yes, I could acknowledge that this was an incredible opportunity. I wanted to take it, but I didn't know what to expect from it. So pretty much everything from that day on has been surprising, I'd say. I've got to travel a lot, like overseas. I've been to South Africa, to Spain, New Caledonia, Fiji, and I also get to see the highlight reel of these countries, because when you're filming there, you're going to go and see all the great spots. So that's been a lot of fun as well. And I get to work with really incredible people that I never saw myself meeting, working with,
Do you have a favourite celebrity? Or
it's hard. I feel like the longer you work with somebody, you get to know them on a really personal level. And when you get to know someone on a personal level, you probably enjoy, it's because you enjoy working with them. So I worked with Sophie Monk for 3 years or a bit longer, and we got to know each other really, really well. And she is fun. She's really funny. Like, people always ask me, is she funny in real life? But there's no differentiation between what you see on camera and what she is in real life. So yes, she is funny in real life, and she's really like kind-hearted and quite humble as well. So I loved working with her. And I also, I've been lucky enough to work with some really big celebrities, and even like when I worked with Kelly Rowland, I couldn't believe how humble she was and kind-hearted, like very generous and kind, and just treats you like a friend. And I think that, I've been even, it doesn't matter how big of a celebrity or how small, if they're just first time on TV, what it is, I think it's all about like the rapport that you have with that person. And if your personalities click, that's like, I'd say at least 70% of the job, because a lot of people can go and get great clothing for a huge celebrity, but they need to feel comfortable with you and like have that relationship. So I've been really lucky. I've even worked with Ash London, who's a radio host in the evenings, and she was co-hosting on a show that I did. It was called Game of Games, and I'd never met her before, but like I just loved her personality. I loved that her style is different to what I had normally done, and you have to embrace that, as well as like make it work for the show, and that like tight balance between what works versus like how she would normally dress in her everyday life, like, you know, that combination. And we just got on really well. So I think I've been lucky that I've worked with a lot of nice people as well, like, very kind people.
I think that they've been lucky to be able to work with you, Kim.
Hopefully they feel the same.
Thank you so much for your interview. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lena.